Could you imagine your first event gets canceled because you made one mistake, not getting a contract? And could you imagine having to pay for rental fee for a venue when you actually could get the bar kickback? Today, I will give you a checklist that could take video that will solve all these pains for you. And you will gain insights that took me 22 years to figure out with you right here today. Hi, today I'm going to talk about venue selection and how you work with a venue and how you can make that really work for you, not against you. But the venue selection is actually almost as important as the promotion. Now, let me try to explain that and set the frame for you. So the way I come up with parties is I come up with events that I like to be part of and my friends like to be part of. And to make doubly sure that my friends actually like it too, I first come up with a concept and I paint a picture in my own mind. I may even think of a venue that I know already that fits the type of event that I'm going to have. We'll get back to that. That's very important. But the first thing I do then, I take my idea, my concept, and I share it with a couple of close friends that would be typical of my partygoers. And I say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? We're thinking about doing a party at such and such a location and such a theme. It's going to be a white night. Everybody dresses in white, as an example. And what do you think? Or what would make it special? So then I get that feedback and I say, okay, let's run with it. So let's say I'm going to organize a white nights party, which is for me celebrating the lightest day of the year. Now I want to find a venue that fits that bill. If it was a Halloween party, I would also look for something that fits that bill too. Now, what's the concept you're going to have? Is it one DJ? More than one? Is it going to be separate rooms, separate outside and inside? You need to think about all these things. And those are really, really important because the very next thing I do, I secure the venue. Before I do any promotion or nothing at all, I secure the venue with a contract signed, ideally. You can also do it in an email because that's also legally binding in the US at least. But you need to make sure you get it up. Right now, I'm working with a guy actually in Boston that's 21 years old. He's doing a party on the 24th of this coming month. And I'm telling him, okay, when you plan this event, you got to have your next party already planned out. And why? Because you want to promote your next party at your last party so that you set yourself up for success. It's a really big point. And not only that, you want to make sure you hit this next party out of the ballpark. So he asked me some questions. Alf, should I do this? Should I do that? And he said, well, we have so many people bought tickets already. I don't think I need to do the promotion. And I said, how much is the extra promotion going to cost you? $400, he told me. It's like, dude, throw the $400 in there, promote the crap out of it. Hopefully make people not even be able to get in because you sold out. And guess what that's going to do? It's going to create even more energy for you. And that's what it's all about, creating a massive amount of energy and the buzz going around. So let's talk a little bit about the venues and what you need to look for in a venue. So when I did parties, I usually had 3-4 rooms with different music. I had one was European music. I had one for 70s and 80s music. I had one for Latin music, salsa dancing if you liked. And we usually have a live band there actually. And we had a Persian room and sometimes also a Brazilian room, but always 3-4 rooms. So I looked for venues that could handle that. And I had several buildings in San Francisco could do that. It was either a hotel or it was like a special event space or a restaurant that could also accommodate it. So one of the things that you want to avoid in the beginning when you start out is to pay as little as you can in rent, if nothing, ideally, or you get a sponsor that pays you enough to pay for the rental. So you are break even already there, okay? That's a nice thing to have. But once you start getting into the flow of doing these parties, you understand your total costs, you understand where your break even point is, you understand how to do the promotion and all of these things. And that's my wheelhouse. That's what I do well and where I will help you set these things up. So let's talk a little bit more of the technical things with the venue so that you can kind of get a sense of what I'm looking for. So I look for the layout, I look for the room. The first thing I do when I come into a room or a new event space is where can I have the DJ? Where is the right energy for that? And is there a stage there? That's one thing. Can I elevate him up? Can I have dancers in there? And the second thing I look for is, do they have a sound system, or do I have to bring my own sound system? That increases my cost if I have to. Do they have AC that can handle that kind of crowd? Is the AC working? All these things I need to start thinking about. What about the check-in of the people? Is there a normal flow? Are there many entrances and exits? Then I need to secure that with a security guard so nobody can just walk right in. And the check-in process, are we going to have a wristband on? Are we taking cash? Are they paying with a credit card at the door? Or have to have all these things set up? Let's say, for example, I was doing an event and I didn't actually know so much about it at this time, but my friend said to me, Alf, have you thought about how long it takes to check one person in? If you're going to have 3,000 people, for example, come into your party, or God forbid, 5,000, which I had one time, you need to time how much it takes for one person to check in. Have they prepaid? Okay, we need to find them on the list. We need to cross them off. We need to give them a wristband. We need to check the ID against that. That takes time. So if somebody's paying cash, we calculated, oh, that's 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes for each person. Multiply that with 5,000. How many check-in points do you have? How many check-in people do you have? So you can sense that you need to have the logistics down as you start growing. Now, as you're starting out, you don't have those problems in the beginning, right? Now, a couple of other very important things you need to look into are finding the venue and working with the unique venues can become your marketing tool. It can become your signature. So I remember in San Francisco, some people that were ahead of me found these fantastic locations and they kind of locked it down, and only they got to do the events there. And I was like kicking myself in the legs, like, how did they do that? So I started getting smart. How do you find out when new locations or venues open up? How do you develop a reputation where you have venues coming to you wanting you to do events there because they know you have a really high-end crowd, which I did. So one of the things I did, I started talking to real estate people. I started talking to liquor companies because they would very often be contacted very early on or find the new places so they could sell their products into the venue. So I made friends with them, and they would alert me about new event sites that I should check out. And they started knowing my style. Guess what? If they weren't in a bar that I would go to, I would bring the sponsors with me to help them get into the venue. So now I become a sales lead for them as well. So we worked in tangent like this. Now, those things are very, very important, and you want to pay attention to it. How can you leverage yourself and be the one that is ahead of the game, that solves that problem with the venue, because the venue is so important. People don't really think so, but I know it is. If you want a checklist as a giveaway, click below to make sure that you get that. Now, another thing I touched on just a little bit, does the venue fit your crowd? Because I actually happen to have a very upscale crowd, a very international crowd. I wouldn't say well-to-do, but yes, people had good jobs and they dress nice and all of that. And so you want to make sure that the venue fits your crowd. You don't want to take somebody that's used to dress up in a suit and very nice formal wear to a dive of a bar in a crappy area in San Francisco, for example. So think about those things. Those things are very important because they want to make sure that they fit the environment and the environment fits them. It's more important than you think. Here's another basic thing you want to look for and make sure you execute right on when you start out. Because the last thing you want to do is to get somebody underage coming into your party and you get busted for it. So I would always have my own security there, but I would always insist in the beginning to have the venue security check the ID too. So if something happened, somebody got in underage, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault. And that's very important. That's a very important takeaway. Simple, but very important for you to pay attention to. Another thing to look for if you have an upscale crowd, or in general, do they have the ability to do VIP tables? Do they have table service or table reservation or bottle service? Those things are very important for setting the standard and making more money for you, because you want to drive bar sales. And I'll get to that in a second here. As a matter of fact, I'll take it right now. You can absolutely negotiate a bar kickback, because the amount of work that you will do, or that I had to do to build a list, to be up to 20,000 people on my personal email list. Those are people I knew. I would say 95% of them, because there were friends of friends in there. And you want to make sure that they know that the amount of marketing and effort and cost you're bringing to them is way outweighing the cost of them trying to do something like that themselves. They couldn't touch it. So you have value to give, and you need to go in with that, no, I wouldn't say attitude, but with that in mind and saying, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm bringing that. It's an upscale crowd, people are going to spend money, so you can negotiate a bar kickback from 10, 15, 20%. Now, I'm not going to get into too many details, but those are the kind of things you want to take care of ahead of time, get it in a contract, and you want to see the bar tab right at the end of the night. I'm going into a little bit more of the details here, but that's, just some little takeaways from you. So this is just a little bit about how you want to go about your venue, because the venue selection is so important, and you want to set yourself up for success and working with the right venues and a management that knows how to deal with them. They have enough bartenders, for example, and enough bars in different areas so you don't have bottlenecks. You want to understand how you work with the venue. A couple of little tips as well. I would always try to get my crowd in there early. So I would do like some drink specials. I would maybe have a sponsor. One time we had a sponsor that gave us 750 pieces of sushi. We had a chocolate fondue thing there as well. So they would set up inside, and I would make sure that it got signage and everything. So there's a lot of things you need to work with your sponsors. And you also want to work with your photographers to say, I want pictures like this, I want pictures like that. I want pictures of the line outside the venue showing the red carpet and the stanchions, because guess what? I think every party I did once I started getting to the game had a beautiful long red carpet. It was like almost 50 feet long. I would go there ahead of the party, obviously, and set it up and tape it down on the sidewalk. We would have searchlights outside to make it look really flashy. My security guard would dress in a tuxedo. So those are the kind of things that sets you apart, that puts that extra classiness on the event. And you need to have one VIP person checking in, one for your guest list, and one for regular ID, and you have different lines for that. Is the venue set up for that? Is it a safe area for people to attend or to go to a party? Can they park? So those are things you need to know. And if you go to a brand new place, you need to make sure that they have a dance permit. How long can they be open until? Are there any neighbor complaints that could happen? Those kind of things are putting you ahead of the game. And you'll see that in my checklist when you start saying, oh God, I would never have thought of that. And one little thing could tilt the whole thing. So hopefully today you've learned some insights about venues and how important it is and how early in the process it needs to come, and how you need to plan out at least one party past the one you have now. And ideally you map your events out 6 to 9 months out to 12 months out. And that's what I'm actually coaching my students, so to speak, to do as well, because you set yourself up for success. You map out the venues, you map them out with the type of events you're going to have, and you'll be so much more in the driver's seat and more relaxed. So anyway, please comment below if you like this video. I need to hear from you. I beg to hear from you. And I want to hear your questions as well. So pop them off in the comments, and make sure you click on that link, like I mentioned earlier in the video, where I say, hey, you got to make sure that you get this takeaway. And it's a very important checklist for you. I'll see you on the other side. And here's my famous high five. Click on the link, and I'll see you soon.